Hello, I hope you're having a wonderful day today. So in this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about a philosophical idea. And I wrote an article on this actually that I'm really excited to share. However, I wanted to go over it a little bit beforehand, and then either tomorrow or this weekend, I'll actually just read the article. I haven't done that yet, where I just had a video of just reading. But I'm kind of curious to see how it does. I'd love your guys' thoughts on that as well. I really would appreciate yays or nays on it, but I still wanted to go over the idea today, and hopefully an easier to digest way than just me reading it. And the topic of this is who or what we as a species are. And I'm sure you've all kind of heard the phrase, I think, therefore I am. And it stems from this very long traditional thought of, are you because of your body and your mind? Are you because of consciousness? Do you have like this separate soul that nobody knows exactly what it is, that can be separated from all this? And there's this very interesting theory that I heard that kind of brought me to think about this a little bit deeper, of who we are and why we are how we are. And it was the falling man theory, which is, let's imagine you lost all your memories and you're falling down like an eternal, dark pit. You couldn't see, you couldn't hear, you couldn't smell, right? You're just falling. You as a person, you could still think, right? You would still be you, even without these, physical bodily aspects and feelings. And so, his argument was that there was a soul, right? Like a consciousness outside of your body. And I agreed halfway. Right. Of course, that theory is impossible. A lot of theories in philosophy are meant to be similar to that. With that being said, I really like the idea of it. So I thought of kind of two similar examples to explain my own belief is that we are not our bodies. I don't believe that, my hand or my leg or any of this necessarily makes me who I am. Now, I don't know enough about brains or the synapses or anything to know for sure if our consciousness is simply encased within our brain and it's like a secondary housing unit, our body, our brain, then our consciousness, and that's us, or if our consciousness is just truly integrated throughout our brain. I don't know exactly. I'm leaning logically towards the second one, that there isn't like some kind of hidden consciousness, some like deep within our brain. I feel like our consciousness is made up from the electricity and everything passing through our brain. Again, I don't know for sure. No one does. That's part of the fun of this question. But I'm leaning towards that second one. With that being said, the best example I could come up with to explain that is a computer or any appliance, but I'm going to use a computer and software. All right. So with software computer, it could never exist without the hardware, because we would never come up with software without it. And that's similar to our consciousness would never exist without our body, right? Just as the hardware gives function to the software, allows the software to do anything, our body allows our consciousness to do and think. And there's a couple different reasons I view it like that. The first one is we can clearly think without feeling something, right? So our body clearly doesn't elicit or our thoughts clearly don't only elicit from our body. But on top of that, we need to eat, we need to drink water, we need to sleep. We need physical functions for our brain to continue, which houses or is our consciousness. So the software of our consciousness could never exist without this hardware that we all currently have. And my second example, to try and explain this in the best possible way, has to do with something that currently isn't possible. So try and imagine a world very, very far into the future. Or if it helps, just a fantasy sci-fi world. Let's imagine that in that world, we have been able to separate that consciousness, whether it's the brain, the full brain, or just this idea of consciousness, from this vessel into another vessel. I'm going to use this one. Into this vessel, right? So I am now here, right? If that was the case, we would of course view ourselves very differently, because we wouldn't be our body. Our body wouldn't matter in the broad spectrum of everything, because we could just move and jump around, right? So you, or me for that matter, I would be what's in here, right? This idea of consciousness. And that would be just publicly accepted. That would just be fact. We don't currently know if that's possible, which is why this is a question. But as soon as we understand it deeper and we're either able to do it or we figure out we can't do it, that helps answer that question. I'm of the opinion that we could probably do that theoretically if we had the knowledge and technology and everything like that. However, I took that explanation or that example a little bit farther, because I was thinking about it realistically. We live in a very capitalist society, and a lot of societies tend to eventually become capitalist, it seems like. Or not even capitalist, but the people who benefit the most are at the top, right? A truly fair world is highly unlikely. So whether it's in this world in the future or in a very fantastical world, this ability to just jump between bodies would not be for everyone, right? Like I, as a totally normal dude, I could not just do this, especially not whenever I want, right? So if you think about it logically, the only people who could do it are like that top 1%. I'm thinking like kings, right? Emperors, gods, whatever. They would be outside of the realm of my likelihood of ever existing. And if we knew as a species, me and you, if we saw that people could do this, however we couldn't do that, would it matter who and what we are? So we, in this magical world, we would understand that they were them, not because of their body, but because of their thoughts and their mind and their consciousness, that they can move around. However, for me, I'm still just me, right? I still rely on this body. I could never move bodies, right? So I, despite being the consciousness in my own head, rely on this body. And so I am this body, if that makes any sense. And it almost made me realize the silliness of this question, right? Because whether or not we are because of our body or whether or not we are simply because of our consciousness or any mix in between here, it doesn't matter because we can't separate that consciousness from our body. So we are everything here and nothing less, nothing more. And that it was still very, very fun for me to kind of come to this conclusion, because while I have my own personal beliefs, I realized that it didn't matter, right? Because no matter how much I might believe my consciousness is separate from my body, until I figure out a way, or somebody else, probably much, much smarter than I am, figure out a way in which to separate them, they're just one and the same. I felt like this was a very, very fun kind of, not a test of my ability to use logic, but it kind of was, right? For me to think through something, try and understand something at a farther level and reach a point where I feel comfortable that I really understand it. And I would love everyone's thoughts and opinions on it. This was a much longer video than I thought it would be. I don't know how long it's going to be me reading my paper. My paper is only like a couple hundred words. It's like a page. And maybe this turned much, much longer into it. But hopefully it'll also give some feedback to or not feedback. It'll give some base level for everyone. So I'll probably link this one when I read that, so everyone can kind of come here and understand it, hopefully in a better explained way. I really do appreciate all of you listening. I really hope this at least got you guys thinking. If it was fun, that's awesome. You can be weird like me. Otherwise, I still hope, whether you believe the same thing as me or not, it was just beneficial. It helped you think. It helped you either, come up with a slightly different belief that you have, or just solidified your own belief. Those are both wonderful things. I really appreciate you guys always listening. If you guys like this kind of stuff, you enjoy listening to it, or if there's something you'd like to listen to slightly more, I'd love feedback on that. I really enjoy doing stuff like this. I find it very fun, so I'd love to share that with everyone as well. I'd love feedback as well on kind of my examples and my ideas as well. Please like, follow, comment, because I love reading your guys' comments, and I do appreciate shares and everything like that as well. You guys all have a wonderful, wonderful day, and keep being you.